YouTube, how we doing? PPS back. We are here past the prop. It's already week 15 slate coming at you guys. Fantasy football playoffs. We're here. Joined as always by my guy Stu. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Like we said before the show a little bit right here, tons of stuff going on. We've got introduction to bowl week going. We've got football, not just on Sunday this week, baby. We got it on Saturday also for all of you guys, that don't care about us that bet on college football. Plenty of stuff going on. Obviously, a huge NBA slate too. I'm sure all of us will have some of that stuff on our personal accounts. But for today, it's an NFL day, and I'm pumped, man. I think it'll be a good show. I like all the spots we've been talking about so far, so I'm ready to go, ready to answer some great questions as well. I know people have had some killer ones last couple of weeks.
Love it, love it, love it. And joined by our guy V Money. How you doing, man? I seen you're on a little tear right now. Hopefully, all is going well. How you been since last time we seen you?
Yeah, I've been good, man. Chugging along, same thing, different day. 4 different sports going on right now. So we got football, I think, for 18 straight days starting today. It's going to be awesome. I'm on the under in the Miami UAB game right now. It is as ugly as college football bowl season can get. So great way to kick out the season. Got the Bulls on tonight and great NFL plays this weekend. I'm pretty confident too. So let's roll, boys.
Awesome. So we are heading into, like I said, week 15. I think we have games across Saturday and Sunday for you guys. So we'll be on both days. So you guys will be able to bet on all 6 of our plays spread off across 2 days. But as we always do when we talk our football stuff here, we're heading to what is our game of the week. We'll talk about only plasma this week. We're not talking laptop games this week. Since there's 3 of us, we're only talking about our favorite game. Doesn't have to be the one you have the most bets in. Doesn't have to be the one we have props in. Vaughn, what game are you looking at this week? We got Saturday and Sunday games. I mean, I'm going to assume you're not talking the Monday game because that's my Packers, and you're going to talk about that with a 37 total. But what game are you looking at this week as a possible spot you want to get on?
Yeah, your Packers are nothing worth talking about. I was really excited about the Lions and Jets game. Not as excited now at Zach Wilson, but I am more intrigued in that game for sure. The game that I'm probably going to have pretty decent amount on is the Saints and Falcons. I got 2 plays in that game. Well, 3 counting our little touchdown splash. So that's probably going to be the game that I target the most. And of course, like you said, college football on. If you're not watching UTSA and Troy at 3:00 today, I don't know what you're doing with your life because that game is going to be outstanding. So a lot of great football tomorrow, including Fresno State, which is a big play for me. So enjoy the weekend.
Love it, Stu. Only one this week. No Washington.
See, I don't think that should count. I proposed that we actually stopped doing this show last week while Washington was on bye so we could all prepare for this Washington Giants game that really does decide who makes the playoffs. That's the game of the week right there. You guys are going to want to – we don't even have to watch the regular slate, honestly. I'm not going to – I mean, I will be watching these games. It's my job, unfortunately. But I'll be preparing all day for that Washington Giants game. The loser – has a sub 25% chance of making the playoffs. The winner has a over 80% chance of making the playoffs. I think it's going to be my Commanders, as you can see by that very small flag behind me. So I'm fired up. Washington Giants game of the week. We're not doing rules or bureaucracy this week. It's Commanders, baby.
Let's see another tie, boys. Let's see another tie.
Let me ask you this. How are you going to feel when you turn on Sunday Night Football on NBC and you see my guy Matthew Berry and Chris Sims, and they all pick the Commanders to win the game? And then
you guys are gone, bro.
Yeah, how are you going to feel about that? Because they've been doing that a lot this season. And so far they're 1-1, but I know it's not a good trend. And I love my team, but if they all pick the Commanders, we're going Giants.
Yeah, the spread's a little scary. The talking heads liking my team is a little bit scary, but we have to embrace this moment. We have to embrace the Heineke energy and power through. Honestly, to be completely real with you, though, the Giants on the spread isn't a bad play. I played the Giants on the spread last game, so I ended up winning on the tie. I do think Washington has a better game plan. We should get Benjamin St. Juste back at corner, which is pretty big. But and maybe Chase Young, although I like to call Chase Young street clothes these days because it looks like he's never coming back. So maybe we'll see him by the playoffs. Who knows? But technically, he's questionable this week. But it'll be a close game. It'll be a good game. And I wouldn't be laying Washington on anything other than the money line. If we win, it's going to be another one of those field goals, last second kind of thing. It's a 3-point game, whoever wins. So I'm not touching that Washington spread, but it's money line all day, baby.
Love it, love it, love it. I will be looking at the Tennessee Titans game against the Chargers. I think that is literally the best option you can have here because the Chargers can't stop the run. All they're going to do is run the football. Then you look to the other side. Tennessee can't stop the pass. And when does Chargers ever run the football? I bet you Eckler had like 6 carries last week and just like 8 catches. So I think this could get extremely high scoring just out of the blue because both teams can't stop what the other team is good at. I think that is a fantasy gold mine in that game. And I'd be really curious to see how many carries Derrick Henry has in that game because I'm pretty sure it's going to be probably like 30.
Yeah. Do we remember that game where the Chargers played the Browns earlier this year where the whole world bet on the Chubb, the Browns rushing attack? And then guess what? It still happened. Some people like us were like, okay, the whole world's on it. Let's calm down. The Chargers know they're going to run the ball. I'm sure they'll do something, right? They didn't do anything. And I don't think they're going to be able to do anything against Derrick Henry either. So that was my second choice, actually, to be completely honest as well. I'm pumped for that game.
No, I think the Henry thing is similar to Christian McCaffrey last night too. I was one of the people on his over rushing yards, and everyone thought it might be too easy of a bet, but it's really, they can't stop the run. Simple as that. Derrick Henry sitting at 98.5 rushing yards, 17.5 carries. Pretty tempting to take both those overs against the Chargers. Yeah, great game, I think, to be throwing same game parlays and betting overs in.
Beautiful, beautiful. Before we get into our plays, let's check out the chat. We'll take a look there, and then we'll get on with our spots. For us, we got Plus Money Bob being the number one guy, first guy in the chat. Mark, we appreciate you popping in here. I agree with Alpha. Giants by 90, maybe 1 or 2. But like I said, I can never back the Commanders again. They pissed me off too many times. But hey,
I think Alpha's jealous of the flag right here. I think that's what really got him going right there. I know he's a Giants fan. I know, he's got to support his team, but I don't know. I don't even think he's Vanilla Vic anymore. I think he's lost that nickname. I think he's just back to good old Daniel Jones. So I'm pumped. Should be a good one.
Ooh, that was spicy, but I agree. Might be that way. The Commanders, though, Justin, that was a little disrespectful because they were like 6-0-1 ATS before the last game. Them and the Lions have been 2 of my favorite teams this year to bet on. They've been such easy reads along with the Raiders. So don't disrespect the Commanders, man.
Hey, you're talking to a guy who has not bet one spread this entire season. This is a prop show, my guy. We ain't touching these spreads. We don't touch them ever here. So, no, my hate for Ron Rivera runs deep this year, just screwing my fantasy team over. Every time I play Curtis Samuel, the guy touches the ball twice. Every time I put him on my bench, he scores a touchdown. The dude is impossible to read, and I blame Ron Rivera. So that's why I've been doing this the last 3 or 4 weeks. So, and it's still finding a way to screw me even when I move him to the bench. He still finds a way. So hopefully Terry McLaurin has a big week this week. I'll be having him rolling in fantasy. So hopefully he can still go off and we can all be winners here. So speaking of not betting spreads, we actually have a couple spreads from you, V Money, here to start us off. I really like this spot. I can't believe we're actually getting this even with any points at all. So I will kick it over to you to start us off for our first play of the 6 we got for you guys today.
I was going to say, you must be talking about the Patriots then if talking about getting points. But yeah, this is actually just surprised by this line. It's a short week for the Patriots, so that's why people are running to bet the Raiders in this spot. But really, the Patriots have to win this game. Like, this is a must win in every sense of the aspect. They play the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills after this game. So if you don't beat the Raiders, essentially your season might be over if you're 7-7 entering that stretch of football. For the Raiders, sitting on a team total under 8.5 right now. So obviously I need them to lose this game, but I think this is a great game for the Pats. It's also a coaching matchup, a former Patriot and a current Patriot. So Josh McDaniels, formerly with the Patriots, now the Raiders head coach. So we got a little Nick Saban versus his mentees type ordeal going on here in the NFL. And the Patriots have won 6 straight against the Raiders. Not sure Josh McDaniels in his first year with the Raiders is a guy that's really going to fix that. And the only thing I will say, I know New England hasn't been a great offensive team in a lot of ways. They will get a couple guys back. Hopefully Ramondre is in the game for this. But since week 9, the New England Patriots defense allowing 3.99 yards per play on defense, which is the best mark in the NFL. And they've only allowed 3 touchdowns outside the red zone all season, which is also the best mark in the NFL. So Derek Carr can't get the long ball going. It could be a struggle for the Raiders. So I like the Patriots. I would advise to wait on this, though, because if Ramondre's out, this line could move back to 2, 2.5, maybe even 3. If you get a 3, absolutely love this play. But I think we're going to end up with a 2 or 2.5 here.
Yeah, Ramondre news should be pretty big right there. But I agree with you. Honestly, I like the Patriots here too. I think the public perception is really down on them. I think that's what we're going to talk about a decent amount today with public perception. People watched them in prime time. They weren't impressed with the offense, but they've never been a great offensive team. That defense is looking strong. It's looking very scary. And guess what? That Raiders offensive line is bad. Derek Carr is going to be playing scared today. There's going to be a lot of pressure in his face. It's going to force him to make those kind of clutch throws. And, he hasn't been too good at that this season. So I do think this is a game the Patriots can take advantage. I hope Ramondre plays, though. I do think they will be able to establish the run on the ground if he's out there.
He's my RB1 in 2 fantasy leagues. So, yeah, if he doesn't play, I am definitely screwed. You made a comment that I think is very important to people watching this too, or that will watch this at any point, because the Patriots have played 3 straight games on prime time, okay? They played the Vikings. They lost that by 7. They played the Bills, lost by 14. And they beat the Cardinals against the backup quarterback after Kyler got hurt very early in that game. So you're correct. The public perception on the Patriots right now is not positive whatsoever. But I think they are still a team that could sneak into the playoffs and is viable. They can contend with anybody because of defense. I will ride with the better defense here and the better coach. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this matchup with Mr. McDaniels going up against the good old Bill Belichick here? I'm always curious how these go because obviously the Belichick tree is pretty big. He obviously has pretty good success against him too.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading some comments, and it's just like it's all buddy love stuff. Like, he's taught me so many things, even without me being there, be able to send him a text, like yada yada. And it's just like it's a love fest. And I don't really need to read into that anymore because they have so much respect for each other. But the Raiders, like I said, the key to the Raiders is they're the best team in the NFL at scoring outside the red zone. They're terrible inside the red zone because they score on a lot of plays, 30, 40-yard touchdown type deals. And if they can't run the football against the Patriots, I mean, it's Devontae Adams season or nothing. And I'm not worried about Waller or Renfro and these guys' tags because the Patriots are 3rd most in sacks. Raiders do not have great pass protection. They've been able to run the ball this season, but I don't believe in their pass protection. So I think Bill Belichick will come up with enough schemes and tricks to be able to get the Patriots offensively enough points here to tap out the Raiders.
Yeah, and just looking at the line here and stuff, the Raiders offense on the running side at least has a minus 26% matchup advantage against this front 7 of the Patriots. I mean, they don't even probably have to do anything special to be able to kind of slow Jacobs down more than usual. And then you have the number 1 guy in Adams, and you know what Bill Belichick likes to do with those number 1 guys. I'd be very, very curious. When is the last time you saw a Devontae Adams reception line at 5.5? When is the last time we saw that?
And it's actually interesting. I read about Devontae Adams and what he said about the Patriots because these teams had joint practices early in the season. So, they had some run against each other, which totally different teams from that point to this point in the season. So you can't read into that too much. But Devontae Adams was saying, I had some one-on-one matchups. I remember those matchups. I doubt that they're going to throw me any one-on-ones. But if they do, I remember that. And I think that's a key too. Bill Belichick's not going to overthink what he has to do to stop the Raiders. Josh McDaniels might overthink a little bit more seeing Bill Belichick for the first time and this being such a crucial game for both teams. Makes me like the Patriots more.
And one more thing before we get off this one, too. If this prop does become available in this one, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right. Josh Uche, is that how you say it? The linebacker for the Patriots. 9 sacks over their last 5 games. They didn't post it last game. I was sitting there, refresh. Judon gets all the attention, right? This guy is just pure speed off the edge. He's only going in for these pass rushing snaps, and he's been killing it. So I love that spot against the Raiders. If it becomes available, I'm guessing it's going to be plus money at least for a sack. So very much hoping we get that one. I think it lines up with this play very well too.
I like that.
Beautiful. Going from an AFC East team to another one, heading to a Saturday game for Stu's first play. Gotta love this action here.
Yeah, this is a popular play. I'm not going to pretend like I've invented this one. I will say I bet on Josh Allen rush attempts a lot this season. And I think we've talked about, the value of rush attempts over yards. We know Allen is a guy that is able to break off these chunk runs. But one of the big things, he's a huge QB sneak guy, right? When we talk about this Bills team all the time, I think I've been saying this for 2 years. Josh Allen's the RB1 on the Bills, right? Devin Singletary's fine. He's there. They've got a couple guys that contribute in different ways, but when they're on the goal line, when they're in key 3rd and 1 situations, 4th and 1 situations, Allen is getting these plays. He's getting the quarterback sneak. He's getting the design runs. They let him run in the red zone. So I really like the ability to kind of have these short runs really pile up in this situation. And also we look at the matchup, right? Miami is pretty simple. They're a team that blitzes a lot and they play a lot of man coverage. That means those guys aren't just sitting there in their little zones waiting for him to run. They're actually, faced with one-on-one assignments. That normally opens up better rushing lanes down the field as well. The pressure will force him out the pocket. We've seen Chubb play very well since being traded over here. This is a huge rivalry game. It's a divisional game. The Bills can clinch some good playoff seeding right here. It's just a big game under the lights. I love quarterbacks rushing in big games. I talk about that a lot as well with these kind of props. I think they need to be motivated. I think they need to be willing to put their body on the line for those extra couple of yards. We've seen time and time again, Allen is almost motivated to like a reckless level where he's just taking hits unnecessarily at times. But I believe this is a great spot right here. He's hit this, and I believe 8 of 13 games so far this season. But you got to remember, like 3 of those games, they absolutely stomped the other team. There's absolutely no reason to run. Final thing, he still is dealing with that elbow injury as well. So his throwing might not be as dependable. The weather conditions may also play a factor. But we talked about this briefly before the show. I don't really want to overreact to these weather conditions. It'll be snowy. It'll be bad conditions. But I like this play with or without it. If the snow is there, then that might just mean there's going to be less passing chances downfield and more runs. So I like this with 10 inches of snow, with 1 inch of snow, with no snow, with some rain. Who cares? Josh Allen, 8 rush attempts, baby. Let's go. -121 on Barstool, too. That's the best price. They've got -128 on Caesars as well as the second best price.
Yeah, no, and I know I always talk about these snow conditions or whatever and all that stuff, but remember, that's always in favor of the offense with these crappy conditions because you know where you're going. The defense has no idea where you're going, right? You have the control of this one. I love Josh Allen in pretty much every statistical category this week. And, we always talk about it, these quarterbacks. We saw it on Thanksgiving, too. Like, when the Bills needed a play, they ran the pass plays, but Josh Allen looked at digs and ran, right? That is literally what his stuff was. I expect that too in these bigger games. Josh Allen always comes to run a little bit more in these competitive matchups versus like the blowouts. So I definitely like the spot, especially against a team that they need to get a win against.
Yeah, I agree. I'll double back. I love this play in a lot of ways. If you just bet Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields rushing attempt props every week, I mean, how would you not be in the positive on these guys? So you really don't have to convince me too much about taking Josh Allen. You got the Nils as well. Possible overtime game, the weather, elbow, everything really points to this being an RB1, QB1 situation.
That's a good point. If the Dolphins keep playing the way they've been playing these last couple of weeks, then maybe we get a couple kneel downs right here as well because they have not looked great recently.
Yeah, I love a good kneel down for a rushing attempt prop. So trust me, I've cashed a couple on that before. I'm always grateful for that.
Perfect.
It's one stat they can't take away from us, so you NBA bettors know.
Perfect. And I'm heading to a guy I've backed quite a few times on the show. And I'm going right back to him. Healthy Keenan Allen. We're heading to him over 71.5 receiving yards. I don't know did you guys watch the Sunday night game last week? Did you watch just Keenan Allen get every single target down the field? It's awesome. I love this offense once Mike Williams is back because you can't just bring the guys up, right? You have to have somebody deep because if you play one-on-one with Mike Williams, it's a 40-yard catch. We see him make contested catches every single time he's out there, and that really helps Keenan Allen because all these underneath routes, he is absolutely cooking everybody. And now we have a matchup with Tennessee, who is third worst in yards allowed to receivers, third worst in touchdowns allowed to receivers. Pretty much every statistical category on the offensive side for passing, they are at the bottom because they are such a good run defense, right? That's really what they excel at. That's what Vrabel has always been able to do is take away the running game, and these guys are obviously very good at it. And now you have a guy in Herbert who we just saw sling the ball for 40 completions last game. they are completely okay with abandoning the run because their running back is pretty much a slot receiver who's just good, just big enough and able to run in between the tackles as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Austin Eckler with more receptions than rushing attempts in this game. I think Herbert goes out, tries to throw this ball around. And I know we talked about it a little bit before the show is how are the Chargers going to stop Derrick Henry and how are the Tennessee Titans going to stop Herbert? I think both sides have fantastic matchups. Obviously, both of them really struggle at what the other team does well. I love Keenan Allen here. 28 targets in the last 2 weeks. I love that he is that first look for him. I still think this number is too low, and his yards after the catch have been much, much better.
Yeah, I love this spot. Sorry, we talked a lot about Keenan Allen. I didn't mean to cut you off right there. So I don't want to go too much into depth right here. But, man, I love Mike Williams being back for this play. Like, I think we've talked about it a little bit before. Mike Williams opens up this offense so much more. I mean, Keenan Allen in that first game he came back, he was doubled on like 50% of snaps. You can't do that with Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. They're all healthy out there. Herbert has been so much better with these guys on the field. And like you said, that Tennessee rush defense is not something you want to mess with. So I love this. I'll be on a couple different pass catchers for the Chargers.
Beautiful.
Yeah, doubling back. I was on Justin Herbert's passing props. I was on these privately and on the Bet the Edge show that we do Thursdays and Fridays. But I laid the wood on Herbert's passing yards and took the Chargers in that game outright. And I was pretty happy how it turned out. I don't see it slowing down in this game. And I'm going to determine how I want to bet the Chargers, whether it's on the spread or team total. Because one thing you could do before we move on in a handicapping for the NFL, NBA, whatever sport it may be, is travel spots. Tennessee Titans, man, have traveled a lot recently. Like going back from October, they had 2 road games, Houston, KC, came home against Denver, went to Green Bay, came home against Cincy, went to Philly, came home against Jacksonville, now going out west to LA. It's not a very good spot for the Titans.
Yeah, and one thing I did want to mention too is I was on Herbert passing yards last game, and it was like 281 right against Miami. Look at it. It's 302 right now for Herbert. So they're giving him 20 yards on this Titans defense, and Miami they're not that good at stopping the pass either. So that's just what these books are thinking is going to be going down in this game. Herbert might throw the ball 50 times. I think that's easily in the books because they have the same type of thing where those quick passes are really their running game, right? And Keenan Allen is involved in both of those. So I love it. And hopefully we'll be able to cash some more Herbert tickets this week along with some pass catchers as well. And heading on to our second round of plays here. Again, guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to everything here. And if you're not in here live, drop them after the show and we'll get to those as well. We'll make sure we get you guys all the info that we can. And we're heading on to plays number 2 for each one of us. Another spread, a spot where I don't really know how you can back the other side here. I actually really like this spot in the line that you're getting.
Yeah, we're going to take the Saints. We also have a player prop in this game, and it'll be a part of our touchdown parlay as well that we're sharing. But obviously, Marcus Mariota, he's no longer the quarterback. He got dumped in favor of rookie Desmond Ridder. Not really showing the Falcons are going for the playoffs whenever it's actually like in their grasp. The Bucs are barely leading the Falcons, the Panthers, and then the Saints are at the very bottom of the division, but only 2 games back. Huge opportunity for the Saints right now to basically possibly control their own destiny. I mean, the Bucs play the Bengals this week, so I don't like the Bucs in that game, that's for sure. And the Saints here, they're 7-2 on the money line, 6-3 ATS since the start of 2018 against the Falcons. There's a lot to like here, especially with the defense. They're going up against the Falcons, who are 28th in yards per play. And when you look at who the Saints have played recently, I mean, listen to these defenses. They played the Ravens, the Steelers, the Rams, the Niners, then the Bucs. Those are 5 really good defenses in their own rights. And now you get the Falcons at home. I mean, you got to be licking your chops. And the prop that I like in this is Alvin Kamara. And we were talking about him pre-show a little bit because right now DK is the only one offering his prop. And I was shocked by this. It's low-key disrespectful. I'm going to have to at least risk probably 1.5 or 2 units on it. But 58.5 rushing yards for Kamara after the defense that he's played. Yeah, he had 30, 26, 42, 13, and 26. I understand how that looks completely. Doesn't look good. But considering who he's played and who he's matched up against now, this is a complete feast spot for Kamara. So I do like the Saints here, -4. That's a 1-unit play. I'm going to try and convince myself of ways why not I should lay 2 units on Kamara. But I think that is just a fee spot for him. I don't see why not. I mean, do you guys agree? Like it's a good spot for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good spot for him. And I think what you said at the top makes a lot of sense about this game. The Falcons are giving up, man. They're not, let's not say it like that. They are looking towards the future. They're not looking towards the playoffs. And that's the smart thing to do as an organization as well. I mean, what is the goal? You make the wild card game as like an 8-9 team and then lose your playoff game. That's kind of lame. Nobody wants to see that. So now we get our backup quarterback in here. He gives it his best shot. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, trusting a backup quarterback against this Saints defense that, like you said, they played a lot of tough defenses, but they themselves are one of the best defenses out there, especially when you look at that linebacker core. They have the best PFF graded linebacker core in the nation, which means it's going to be hard for Ritter to check down his way down the field too if his down the field passing isn't working. So I like this spot, but I'm excited to see Ritter. He made me a lot of money in college, a lot more than any other player ever. So I will always be a fan of you if you're watching right now, which I know you are. So go out there, throw some passes, look good, and then, lose by 4 points and a half.
Lose by 5 points. Lose by 5 points.
There we go. That's always my favorite. When you say, oh, why should I not throw a hammer on it? Well, I said that same thing last week, and I only put like 1.5, and I'm like, how can I not? And it was it's a play I'll be talking about here in a little bit, but that's like the best feeling. It's like I'm trying to play it in my head 100 times. How does he not go off in this game? It's just like everything should obviously be able to, if things go normally, he should have a huge pop-off game.
And I'll say this too, like Desmond Ritter, like he may look decent in the first half because the Saints will be seeing him for the first time, and both teams are coming off bye weeks. So the Saints getting healthy defensively is huge for them. And the Falcons getting a week to work on Desmond Ritter individually is huge for them. So the first half of that game could be a very interesting game. But second half, when the Saints know what the Falcons are doing, they're pretty much going to be dead in the water in the second half.
Yeah, and I saw Mariota left the team and stuff too. But so it's weird. I'm pretty sure he had a kid
He's
or
still
something.
Being paid.
Yeah, I saw he posted something like he was having a kid, and I'm like, all these people are just bashing him that he left the team. I'm like,
I read through it. Yeah, people were weird. I actually got the story because I was confused too. What happened was Mariota, they told him he was going to be benched, right? And he said, okay, I'm going to have a kid. Can I go take care of my kid? Would you put me on the IR? I have an ankle injury. Could you – no, he's had one all year, right?
Yeah. No, he has.
Yeah, but now he's been like, since I'm not going to play, could I go spend time with my kid? And then they were like, yeah, sure. And then everyone's mad at him. Why would you be mad at the guy? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, that sounds like a great deal. It sounds like a great deal for Mariota.
He's getting $5 million for the rest of the season just to go hang out with his kid.
He is literally the most winning player in the NFL right now. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, good for Marcus Mariota. Truly.
I think the only other person you could get up there is Chase Daniel, bro. I think that's the only other guy. I swear, dude, I never know where this dude is. He just pops out of nowhere on primetime games talking to the guy, bro. And I saw him on Sunday night with the Chargers now. And I'm like, bro, you have been with all these studs, and you're just there with a clipboard because you're going to go in if they're up by 30 and hand the ball off twice. That's literally what he does, bro. It's crazy. Like, Herbert should have been out for multiple weeks with that rib injury. Herbert knows, dude. We ain't putting Chase Daniel in that game, bro. He knows.
If the Chargers can't make the playoffs week 18, Chase Daniel's coming back to slay us one final time. Let's go.
Before we get to yours, Stu, I want to see what line you guys would give here. Terrence is bringing up Herbert passing attempts and completions. Where do you think these open up? Because these could be some high numbers. I'll give you completions here, Stu. What do you think the completion attempts or completions are going to be for Justin Herbert this week against Tennessee?
Yeah, this isn't my market, so I can't give you the best guess, but I'm going to say 23.5, maybe 24.5.
It's higher than that, bro.
You think so?
It's got to be at least 27.5 on pass completions. The attempts, I mean, if we're not talking 39.5, or if we're talking anything under 41.5, 42.5,
it's getting that
might be some first consideration. I mean, dude, 47 and 51 in the last 3 games. 47, 51. They're now realizing they must be reading Warren Sharp's tweets about throwing on first down and how important first down football is, because they truly are. And there's some teams like the Browns who will refuse to throw on first down. And even when they run on first down, they're still the worst first down team in football somehow. But yeah, the Chargers, like, they're going to throw the ball on first down. They're going to do it quite often. So yeah, his props are fire. Great over props this week.
Perfect. And we're heading to another Saturday game. Both of Stu's are going to be on Saturday. So make sure you guys if you're not here live, make sure you're locking these in before the games on noon on Saturday. This one is a noon kickoff game.
Yeah, we got our first one right here. We're going Dalvin Cook over 67.5 rushing yards. Playing this one for half a unit right here. Overall, I just think kind of like what you were saying with Kamara earlier, this is just kind of a good buy low spot against a public perception that's been very negative. If you've been on Twitter, if you're a fantasy football guy, all you've probably seen is a lot of negativity around Dalvin Cook. But in reality, he's been pretty solid this year. He's been a little inefficient, right? We've expected a little bit more efficiency overall, but the attempts are there, the snap share is there. He still has this RB1 role, right? Early in the season, Madison was slightly involved, but he's really kind of taken that way down. So he's coming off a terrible week, one of the worst of his career against the Lions last week, who, by the way, have the best rush defense in football over the last 8 weeks. How did that happen?
That D-line is amazing.
It is.
Like, it was the most underrated unit in football after 1 month. That's a great stat. I didn't know that.
But yeah, no, they're coming of it's Hutchinson too. From the first snap, he reminded me a lot of what I saw from Chase Young in his rookie season, where not only can he get after the passer, but that high motor and that athleticism makes him an elite run-stopping edge, which isn't something that's talked about that much. But just the ability to contribute to the run, even though you're mostly a pass rusher, is huge right there. So obviously coming off that brutal matchup right here, we go to a matchup that might look a little bit scary on paper to some people, but I actually don't think it's as bad as people might think. The Colts scared a lot of people with Shaq Leonard, right? That was the big thing. He's a beast in there. Without Shaq Leonard, they have not been good, allowing over 5 yards per carry without him since he went back down. The Colts, like I said, it looks real scary, but you got to understand, it's kind of like what I talked about last week with TJ Watt. It was JJ Watt a couple years ago. A little bit of an outdated analogy. We'll go to TJ now. TJ Watt, right, who's been phenomenal. Their team completely transforms how they are against the run when he's in versus when he's out. It's the same with Shaq Leonard, right? Elite group with him in there. It's not as strong with him out there. So I think Cook, also, one more thing. I said this before in the show. His rush attempts is 17.5 juice to the over. It's already 18.5 on FanDuel. How is a guy not get over 70 yards on 18 attempts? A guy like Dalvin Cook, that's pretty insane to me, especially with that yards per carry without Leonard the Colts are allowing. So the fact that they think he's going to get 18 rush attempts, they think he's going to carry the ball that many times, and he's not going to clip 68 rush yards, that's pretty crazy to me. I think this is just a lot of people being really negative around Cook. I think this shapes up to be a very nice bounce back spot.
Yeah, no, and the one thing I'll mention here too is he's got the freaking attempts and stuff, right? But everybody's seeing that Madison scoring these touchdowns in like two touches, right? He scores a touchdown. I think he scored 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and they're like 8-yard touchdowns. Who got him down there, right? That Dalvin Cook is getting him down there. He's just out for 2 plays, and Madison finds a way to get in the end zone, right? So it's not like he's getting volume, right? It's not like Madison's taking away attempts from him that much, only like 2 to 4 a game, really. And also, I don't know if people remember, Stephon Gilmore is still over there, bro. Yeah. Stephon Gilmore is still there, and that's going to be – I'm pretty sure he's probably going to just shadow, right? He actually is one of the few that follows around. I'm not sure if he'll follow into the slot because Jefferson can go in there, but every time Jefferson's not in the slot, he's going to be out there, so obviously that makes things a little bit tougher for him going against an elite corner there. So I think Dalvin definitely has the easiest path to success, so I love Dalvin Cook. I was on him a week early. Hopefully you're right on him on this one.
Yeah, and two, I want to say one more thing I forgot to throw out there. Over in 10 of his last 11 home games, averaging over 90 yards per game at home during that span. So people may look at the whole sample size, but it does seem like there is some comfortability at home there. Just wanted to throw that one in there as well.
I love that. That's an awesome trade back. Yeah, I like this game a lot. I don't know if I'm actually going to bet this game. I see everybody lining up on the Vikings minus the 4, and it's come back down to 3.5. So I'm probably just going to lay off Saturday NFL in general. And tell you on the Josh Allen one. Probably sprinkle this too, to be honest. But Dalvin Cook will be probably a touchdown prop I might sprinkle, I think.
Yeah, he came through it for us last week. I had him on our touchdown parlay. Came through for me last week. And talking about another thing that came through for me last week is going to be my play. My second play, we're going back to Tom Brady completions, baby. And that's the only reason I knew that we were going to be over on the Herbert completions, because him and Tom Brady are the same way, dude. If it's lower than 26.5, I'll be hammering Herbert. Tom Brady's the same way. I was actually extremely impressed with how the Cincinnati Bengals run defense has held up, right? They did fantastic against Nick Chubb. They're actually fifth lowest amount of yards per carry right now, 4 yards a carry. A lot better than I expected them to be coming into this season. And what do Tampa Bay do, right? If they're not getting 5 yards a carry on the first three, they're going to probably run the ball 3 more times the entire rest of the game. Tom Brady in a game where I didn't even think we had a chance. I thought we had no chance because they're down 35. Left Tom Brady in for those next 2 series, and the dude ends up with 34 completions on 55 attempts, right? The yardage, 4.6 yards per attempt here. It was ridiculous last week, but it's absolutely perfect for these completions. You can play Rashad White, you can play Fournette. It doesn't even matter because the PPR, they're everywhere. These guys get dump offs everywhere. I really like Tom Brady just do exactly what he does. 4-yard dump off to Kate Otten, 4-yard dump off to Chris Godwin. Then you just get 2 guys out of the backfield to Fournette and White, both very capable pass catchers. It's just everywhere you look. That's why Mike Evans isn't getting all the action here, is because their line can't hold up. They're a minus 20% pass block advantage this week. It's going to be handoff 3 times. Nope, we didn't get anything. All right, we're done. Let's pass it every time. I love Tom Brady again this week. Plus money, sign me up.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite plays last weekend. In our article plays, we went 4-1, and the loss was Bucks plus 3.5, but the win in that game was Tom Brady over 36.5 pass attempts, which closed at 38.5 and is now at 41.5. So I think you're on the right track here. I think the complete.
Did we lost him there?
I think we did. It's not me for once. You cut out for us there, Vaughn.
Oh, wow. That's my fault. I'm surprised. But, yeah, no, I like his prop. I was going to say the pass attempts is a little bit inflated now. So completions getting at plus money is absolutely the way to go. The Bengals like to play like the 2 deep shell coverage sometimes, with Mike Evans not being as effective deep right now and Chris Godwin being the guy. It's a lot shorter stuff. So I'm with you, brother.
And one thing I'll just say, I love the spot. I loved it last week too. It's a must-win game. They need to win, right? I mean, they've been playing pretty pathetic right here, but they still do have the division right now, so they need to keep that going. What I'll say, DJ Reader, he's been back. He's a huge reason what you said about that rush defense. Since he's been back, both Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb have ran for under 40 yards, and neither of them were injured in those games. They played the full game, and that defensive line held up very strong right there. So Reader's a great run stuffer. I loved him with the Texans. Wanted my team to acquire him a couple years back, but he's been great ever since he's been over there. I think that's a big reason why they've been so good against the run. And then once like Tampa can't run the ball anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. It's going to be check down city, firing up White, firing up Fournette, firing up Auden. We're running it all back. Let's get those check downs, baby.
And one last thing I want to bring up is last year when we would talk about like Mahomes and how they would never put him over like 310, right? It would always, if it goes up, if he has a great matchup, it's 309.5, right? It's very rare to see guys get over 26 to 28 completions. Like, they're almost scared to put it that high, right? Just because it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
He's been just smashing this number. He's just been absolutely smashing it. It's the same thing with Mahomes. Like I said, last year, dude was getting 390, 380s, and then it still just goes right back to 309 because the books don't feel comfortable playing it up to like 320, right? But it still finds a way, right? Tom Brady's literally completing 66% of his passes, and none of them are going more than 5 yards in the air. So, I mean, I love it. I hope that they're able to just dink and dunk their way down the field. And the 2-minute offense for Tampa Bay is fantasy gold, dude. It is fantasy gold because they're going to get right back up the line, go right to it, 5 yards, first down, 5 yards out of bounds, 5 yards. It's like, if you have a PPR league, you want to have every one of these dudes because they're just so awesome to have, even in like DraftKings and stuff, because all of a sudden you look, he has 3 catches for 9 yards. All right, we'll take 4 points. That was quick. Didn't even have anybody even guarding him on these. So, Tom Brady, thank you, even though you're obviously the GOAT, but hey, you're good for fantasy even at age 45 or however old you are.
As long as you don't start defending him like Skip Bayless, we're cool, bro.
Dude.
He's the man.
I thought Skip Bayless was about to get that elbow right in the freaking jaw, dog.
All I'm gonna say is I could never love another man that much that I probably have never met or hung out with. But that's just me.
Yeah, dude.
I choose you guys. I choose you two over Tom Brady, just so you guys know. I want you guys to know that personally.
Right back at you, Vaughn.
Thank you, man.
Oh,
it's you and Taylor Heineke, just those two, okay?
The GOAT.
Right.
We got any questions, Justin?
I am looking at the chat, talking about the Chiefs game a little bit there. If you had a line where you would play Pacheco rushing yards on the over, where would you need it to be able to bet him? I don't think his lines are out yet.
Yeah, we actually just talked about him last night. We do it might have been our last one, but we do a Thursday night football primetime show, and we were actually talking about this game a lot because we think Pacheco could be a really good bet, scoring a touchdown, rushing yards, attempts. Just the 14-point spread obviously gives you implication that he should get a ton of carries. He's obviously become a bigger threat the last 5 games. I want to say he's had like 15 or more carries in almost every single one. So I think Pacheco is a guy you should absolutely target on Sunday in every way, whether it's rushing yards, attempts, touchdown. Obviously, don't hammer them because anything could happen. And there's going to be, if the Chiefs do what they should do, they should win that game and cover that spread. But I also had them last week, and they were up, I think, 27 and didn't cover the 8.5. So do as you will, but I think Pacheco is a great bet. I would look at it. I guess your original question is the line you'd want. I mean, a 59.5 is an absolute slam. If a 69.5 comes up, which is probably more realistic, I think that's the line that you would say I'd still play this. But once you cross 74.5, 75.5 territory, you have to justify, is Isaiah Pacheco a better bet to rush for 75 yards than Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara? And, at that point, I don't know if I could really justify that, even if it is the Texans, who still are playing for pride at this point.
Yeah, I'll say if it's in the 60s, I like it. Like you said, if it crosses over 73, 74, which is a possibility against the Texans, because it's not a secret how bad they are against the run, then, like you said, you probably have to step back a little bit, just because that game scares me. I hate games where it just could not be close at all. Like that maybe benefits him, it maybe doesn't. Who knows what goes on over there? So I would agree. I lean the over if it's in the 60s, 100%.
Beautiful, beautiful. Terrence, you already know my thoughts here, dog. You don't have to ask me. Tony Pollard season's always happening right now. This man is an absolute machine. He almost eliminated me from my other fantasy playoffs. I have him in 2 leagues. Only league I don't have him, he almost kicked me out of the fantasy playoffs. I love Tony Pollard. Doesn't really matter. Dude is just so explosive. He is making the most of every single time he touches the ball. I'll kick it to Vaughn. You got a thought on this one? I know Stu's going to be on the under. He's on the under Pollard every single week, just like I'm on the Washington side on the other side. So I'll get your side of this one.
Yeah, I would say, if you haven't been so far, the touchdown props for Pollard and Zeke have been going crazy the past 5 or 6 weeks. And my brother is a Cowboys fan. And when I told him like a couple weeks ago, like, man, some of these games have been just trap spots. And he was like, bro, why aren't you just betting Zeke and Tony Pollard touchdowns? Like, it's that simple. And I said, you might be onto something. But sometimes, we do make life a little too difficult. And, Tony Pollard rushing receiving might be getting a little too cute, but I wouldn't talk anyone off it because of the type of volume and snap share he's seeing right now. I mean, even at a split backfield, Zeke and Pollard are both still doing their thing. So I prefer the touchdown props, but like I said, I wouldn't talk you off of any Tony Pollard or Zeke props.
Yeah, I don't mind this spot either. I'll just say, like, he has to be real efficient to get here. Like Vaughn said, it's a split. He is the starter technically, I believe, but they're pretty much going drive by drive down the field. So I don't know if he's so efficient that he hits this number a lot in the box score, but what are the carries? What are the targets? It's normally very, very, very efficient, and I just get scared. I mean, Jacksonville, I came in here, I talked a lot last week about how they're a pass funnel team. You can pass on them. Derrick Henry was able to run on them, but Derrick Henry can run on everyone. I feel like that's not really fair. So I'm curious to see if this Jacksonville rush defense kind of holds strong like they have been prior to that Henry week or what, because I don't know. This could be a good live bet spot for me, but I don't know if I'm going to have too much pregame on this one, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'll say Tony Pollard scored 4 of the last 5 games. Zeke has scored in 6 straight games.
Yeah,
8 of Zeke's 9 touchdowns have come last 6 weeks. It's pretty wild for someone that we wrote off after a month in the season.
Yep.
He's back. He's back in a small way, but he's back.
All right, last question before we get to our recap and our touchdown parlay. Stu, any thoughts on Mr. Miles Sanders this week? We have a question about him. We haven't heard much from the chat on Miles Sanders in a while. Obviously, the Eagles are – could this be a look-ahead spot, right? They got the Cowboys next week. It's a huge game next week. I think we kind of saw the Cowboys have their look-ahead spot last week where they faced the Texans and almost, lost because they were probably thinking about this one. Is there a thought here that we could see Miles Sanders reach that 15?
Yeah, he's with his career yards per carry, though I'd probably rather go yards with him than carries just because he's been another guy that's been very efficient over the course of his career. The one thing I'll say, the Eagles have shown a very impressive ability to change their game plan from a week-by-week perspective. I believe your colleague, Pat Corain, I don't know how you say his name, writes about this in his article where they switch from pass rate over expectation from positive to negative more than any team. They're going from an incredibly run-heavy game script one week to just randomly a super pass-heavy the next week. So that can kind of burn you, right? And you can beat Chicago deep. You can very much beat them deep. So my biggest worry would be they come out here and destroy Chicago through the air. A.J. Brown, 120 yards, another good game as well from some of those supporting guys, Devonta Smith. So for me, I would lean the over in yards, but I don't know. I get a little bit worried I think they're going to come out and throw the ball a lot, to be completely honest. So I'm looking more like A.J. Brown kind of guys than Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I would lean yards for sure. Bears are almost 5 yards a pop on the ground against them. I mean, obviously watching a lot of Bears games. They're obviously on TV here a lot and obviously in the north here. So I would probably take yards before I take carries for sure. Sorry, my dog just came in the room here, as you can hear.
We love a good boy.
Yeah, he'll probably honestly pop up here shortly if I don't start petting him. So, yeah, I'll be on the over yards, if anything. I can't take the carries.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. He's coming off one of his biggest games of the season. Normally, when a player comes off a game like that, I like to fade him the following week. But the Bears' rush defense is nothing worth fading. So, yeah, I have no comment really on Miles Sanders. But once again, like I said, Jalen Hurts, rush attempts. It's a great bet every week.
What are your thoughts on Fields? This isn't a question in there, but in a game like this, right, where
it's a good one too, actually. Yeah,
pretty big dogs, right? I mean,
he's going to be scrambling for his life.
Yeah,
at some points.
I was the leader of the Fields fan club. Do you guys trust him with this injury? He looked fine, which is scary. People were saying they should shut him down for the season, and then he goes out there and runs like that. Do you feel comfortable betting on him to run, or are we? I feel more I want to play it safe. But I'm
not touching any Field stuff.
That's his game. Yeah. That's what he does. If they want to stay competitive and attempt to win, he's got to run the ball and have those attempts. 10.5 rush attempts for Fields. Yeah, it was 7.5, 6 or 7 weeks ago. That's how far he's come. We're not even getting 9.5s anymore. Yeah. So it's a high number. Stu makes a good point, but that's what Justin Fields does. I do want to ask you guys your opinion. I hope you're on the same side as me. But is Jalen Hurts your MVP for this season? Yes or no?
Absolutely not. Patrick Mahomes is 100% the MVP. He's by far the best quarterback in football. Jalen Hurts is if I had to pick a quarterback I could have on my team right now, he's probably fourth. I would say Burrow's ahead of him. Herbert's ahead of him. He's having better seasons than they are. I understand the Eagles are great. We didn't expect this. There's some good arguments out there. But in my opinion, this is kind of dating back to that old thing where Michael Jordan would never win MVP because we were so tired of him. If Patrick Mahomes was doing this and we just gave him another name and it was his first time doing this, I think he'd be winning MVP right now. What he's doing with those weapons, it's insane. He's making random guys look like Tyreek Hill every week. They still run the same plays they ran with Tyreek Hill. They just run them with these losers and it still works. So yeah, my MVP.
Honestly, I'm saying this. I agree with Stu I'm a little bit more biased because I've watched MVS play a lot. That dude is cheeks, bro. He is terrible. And Mahomes is making him put up numbers, bro. It don't make sense, right? And Juju was just there with Roethlisberger, obviously a little bit of injuries. He's now showing out, right? It's just you can't take away a guy who's now leading the NFL in receiving, whatever, Tyreek, and just plug him in with the Packers number 3. Like MVS was the 3 here. Like, and we didn't have that good of weapons outside of Adams. So you have him, Juju, who's the 2 over there. They had Claypool ahead of him, at least in targets, or Deontay Johnson in targets, right? So I agree in that terms. Everybody's kind of hyping them, which I get it. They're winning the games and stuff, but it's like, I kind of get what you're saying, Stu, with that Jordan comment. It does, and that was like LeBron too for a couple of years. That's kind of where it's at, but it's like Hurts is just doing it with his feet too. Everybody's going to talk about the running and stuff, but I mean, Mahomes' team, I mean, I'm looking at it's Kelsey and then who, right? I mean, really, he's making Jared McKinnon look good, bro. Like, McKinnon is going crazy right now on all these Mahomes crazy passes and stuff. Obviously, it's the new shiny thing there with Hurts. They're going to probably win the division. I'm curious what's going to happen on Christmas Eve because everybody's going to be watching that one. If he loses that one, I don't think he wins.
Man, I don't disagree with anything you guys said. One thing I've been working on as a person, we're not arguing. We're just having a discussion.
Oh, no. This ain't an argument. I ain't arguing with you.
Discussion right now. Yeah. And I understand and feel all your points. I really like what Jalen Hurts has done in general. I think, though, what you guys are saying about the subtraction of Tyreek Hill and then Jalen Hurts' addition of A.J. Brown has made him, look as good as he has been in some ways, too. Because if Jalen Hurts was doing this without A.J. Brown, this probably isn't a discussion whatsoever, in my opinion, especially if he's putting up the rushing stats and ground game he's been having. But, I mean, I definitely think it's a 2-man race. And I want to hear your opinion because I've been hearing a lot of people say with confidence, like Stu just came on and said, shocked me. It's Patrick Mahomes, no question. And, I mean, when I watch Mahomes, I'm like, yeah, these highlight plays, definitely SportsCenter top 10. Some of these sidearms, tosses, falling out of bounds, these are definitely miraculous plays. And he has those over people. But I just love what Jalen Hurts has not turned the ball over this season. And that has been the most shocking thing to me with all of his success. 3 interceptions this year has been awesome. But as someone who bets on the Chiefs and get mad every time when I do it, maybe I'm a little biased towards Hurts, but I want to hear your guys' opinion. I thought that was a conversation I needed to hear. So thank you.
Yeah. And I want to say, too, my passion, it doesn't really come from confidence in Mahomes being the MVP. It comes from hatred of the city of Philadelphia. People in the chat already know that.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of bias there. But I will say, I think Mahomes still is he's in a tier of himself in terms of quarterbacks right now. I think if he could work behind that Eagles offensive line, he might be putting up some historic numbers. But Hurts is obviously having a fantastic season. I'm just more curious to see what Hurts does come playoff time, right? When he's actually put in situations where he may be trailing or he may be forced to throw the ball when he doesn't want to. I'm curious how those kind of situations work out. So we'll see what happens.
I'm trying not to cry laugh right now because one of my friends, Anthony, just texted him. He's an Eagles fan. And he's watching, and he said, "Fry this man." And I said, "No." I said, "No, he's telling the truth."
Bro, what would Mahomes' numbers be if he had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert is a top 5 tight end? Those are 3.
Yeah.
All those guys are insane. He doesn't need – just give him the offensive line and give him the wide receiver 3 from every team, which he already has, by the way. He just has a back pocket of random guys.
He is the Steelers wide receiver 1 from last year.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got Justin Watson making plays, bro. Come on, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. Quez Watkins making the big catches and stuff like that. But it's you give Goddard there, you give AJ Brown. All these dudes are top. Goddard's a top 5 tight end.
Stacked. Yeah, the Eagles are insanely stacked. Super Bowl favorites for sure, but they'll let everyone down. Sorry, Anthony.
And if this guy's still bad that's watching right now, just tell him to pull up those Eagles playoff highlights from last season and see how he liked watching that game. Let's watch Jalen Hurts play from behind and see what happens. This guy is so good when he gets to dictate whatever he wants on a football field, but that's because the rest of his team is so good. Patrick Mahomes is out here he's just 1 versus 12. He's out here himself just separating. So I don't know. I think plus money Bob's with me right there with the team swap. That's kind of an overused thing. I didn't want to lean on that too much because people say that so often. But hey, it is true.
It is true.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it here. But yeah, I would definitely agree with it. Me and Stu have been disagreeing on some things, but we're agreeing on this one 100%.
I don't think he's ever agreed with me before. I literally pointed at the camera when I don't think he's ever agreed with me on an argument right here before. So this is a win. This is a win for sure. What are the odds, by the way? Is it close or like can I
think he's like
last time I checked, Hurts was minus 175. And I want to say Mahomes was creeping around 200. I'm going to pull it up right now. But I definitely thought it was interesting. Mahomes is plus 190 on FanDuel. Hurts is minus 160. The next closest is Joe Burrow at plus 1,000. And you got Josh Allen plus 2,000. So definitely a two-man race. Mahomes at plus 190. It's one of the best prices you'll probably get on him since the start of the season. It's probably your last chance too. One or two last chances because they're definitely about to smack up on their opponent, the Texans, this weekend. So you're going to see a lot more Mahomes highlights all over your TV. I wouldn't talk you off it. I bet Aiden Hutchinson took a flyer on him at Rookie of the Year in the Lions to make the playoffs because I was bored the other day. But I might have to bet Mahomes today.
I just need Sauce, bro. I need Sauce to come through defensive rookie over there.
He's fantastic. I'm not going to say he's not the winner of it, but if you're going to give me Aiden Hutchinson at plus 550 and the Lions might make the playoffs, I will definitely take a little snack on that.
Yeah, I think I got him at +9 preseason. So cross the fingers. I know he was like minus 300 at one point, but now Aiden Hutchinson is kind of showing out lately, and that defense looks good. But we're back to it. Let's get to our recap. Obviously, you can see the plays on the bottom. Vaughn, I'll kick it to you to start us off with your recap plays here.
Patriots were taking Bill Belichick against Josh McDaniels. I'd wait to see Ramondre Stevenson news, get a better line on this one. We'll be playing the Saints -4 against the Falcons. Falcons might look good in the first half with Ritter getting some bye week time, but the Saints also coming off a bye week. Been one of the best defense in the NFL, and this is by far the best opponent in the last 5 weeks. And we'll sprinkle, our touchdown parlay, but Kamara over 58.5 yards. That is an official play. You can go get that for 1 unit now, but that'll likely be 1.5 or 2 units. I need some time to stew on it, but Stu, kick it to you.
I like that. See, that's what NBC gets you right there. We're not
what they pay me for
like that.
That was off the cusp. Not a big flex. Go ahead, Stu.
All right, I'm going Josh Allen over 7.5 rush attempts. -121 is best price over on Barstool right now. Then we're going Dalvin Cook over 67.5 rushing yards as well in a bounce back spot against the Colts.
We're running it back with Mr. Tom Brady. We're running it back with Keenan Allen here. Those would be my two spots here. Let's get to the touchdown parlay. I know we're getting close here, obviously, to the hour mark. Want to get out before then. So let's get to our touchdown parlay. We'll go in order. Vaughn, you're kicking us off.
Going with Alvin Kamara. Keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. My teachers taught me growing up. Kamara, he normally scores against them at 3 straight games. The last 2, he has not scored against them. This Falcons team is the best matchup, like I said, in over a month for them. Don't overthink it. At -115, seems like a steal to me.
Yeah, I'm going J.K. Dobbins. Get a nice +220 right here over on FanDuel. Pretty much he got the sole goal line carry last week. He was the most impressive back. Gus Edwards didn't look good. And Kenyon Drake is really only stealing some of those receiving yards. So I think J.K. Dobbins has a very good chance to punch in the touchdown. It feels like this should be my +130, +140. So to get it in the 200s, definitely good value right there.
Beautiful. I'm heading to Keenan Allen. Talked about Tennessee Titans. They allowed the second most touchdowns per game, 2 wide receivers so far this year, and 14 targets a game. Sign me up. I'll take that all the time. We're going to get that. We had back-to-back touchdowns the last 2 weeks, and then last week obviously went for 12 for whatever, 120. Didn't get in the end zone, but this is the bounce-back week to get back in the end zone. Vaughn, tell the people where they can find you. We appreciate you, as always, popping on here with us. Where can they find you?
V-Money Sports, baby, on Twitter. Big show tomorrow, actually. I actually would like to plug that. 11 a.m. Eastern will be on my Twitter, also on the NBC Sports YouTube page. Eric Froten and I are going to host our college football bowl season show. Right now, we're looking at a 1-0 start. Got some plays today. And then we also have 3 special guests on tomorrow. Would love to try and get you guys on for the New Year's Eve episode if you guys aren't doing anything. But I'm not going to say the special guests because they are very special. You guys got to tune in to see. It's going to be awesome. And I appreciate you guys having me as always. You guys are 2 of my favorite people to work with and be on camera with.
Appreciate
Tough to follow that one up, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, we appreciate Vaughn coming on. I think he's kind of cemented himself as the GOAT guest on this show. I mean, he comes on here all the time, giving winners multiple sports, too. We don't just stick to one sport, which is always fun. So always appreciate you going on. Like you said, I will not be a special guest there tomorrow. But if you want to see my college football props, I did do the FTN prop show this morning where I did give up a college football prop for tomorrow's Cincinnati game, which I feel very good about. So you're going to want to check that out. Oh, but let's see, what else do I got? Sorry, stuttering right here. I put out my biggest NFL play of the season this morning. I thought it would move by the time we got on our show. So I put that out there. I really like that play. I'll have a ton more stuff over on Twitter. So just, keep following. We'll keep making plays, hopefully make some more money.
Love it, love it, love it. I'll have play of the day videos out probably in a couple minutes here after the show, and obviously some articles coming out here as well. Coming across NBA, NFL, college football, right? We got a ton of action. We didn't even get to college basketball yet either. So super excited. Obviously, all three of us will be dropping plays in multiple sports. So make sure you go follow us all over on Twitter and make sure you got those notification bells on because we'll be dropping some heat this week. So have a good one, guys. Remember, we got some plays on Saturday. Make sure to lock those in. Don't wait till Sunday to lock them in. Make sure you grab them early. So have a good one, guys, and best of luck this week 15.